What is up, guys? We're back with another Series 10 kind of discussion video, and in this video I kind of want to talk about common cores that we're going to be seeing. Some of the big legendary Pokemon combined with some of these Pokemon that are a lot better now that there's Dynamax. Going to be laying down what you should expect to see coming into Series 10, and then I'm also going to be breaking down more Series 10 talk about moves that are now extremely viable again because of no Dynamax. I cannot reiterate enough, no Dynamax is insanely different to what we've been playing all through Sword and Shield. So we're going to be talking about moves that are great and common cores to get you guys ready for Series 10. Let's go. First up, ladies and gents, I want to talk about Groudon and Venusaur as a common core that we should expect to be seeing. We actually saw Groudon Venusaur be pretty viable in a format that we could kind of say is pretty similar to this. It was a format where you were allowed two legendaries and there were no megas or Z moves allowed. It was even good in the one with Z moves allowed as well. This was in VGC 2019. But yeah, Groudon is still this pretty scary, really high base stat, weather control mon who can Swords Dance up, drop massive Precipice Blazes. Venusaur kind of supports it with insanely fast Sleep Powder. Of course, there's things like Tapu Fini. Tapu Koko is going to be picking up a lot as well. So, I mean, there are things that still stop Sleep Powder. A lot of teams are going to kind of think Sleep is kind of not as good anymore, and Groudon Venusaur could still be a big problem. Venusaur just supports Groudon as the star. Kind of different as to what we've seen. We've usually seen Venusaur be the star of the show with Vine Lash and all that annoying stuff. But Groudon's going to be kind of the star of the show. It's going to facilitate the strategy with Venusaur. I think that that's going to be something that's going to pick up a bit. Calyrex Shadow is definitely not a stranger to VGC. Calyrex Shadow has been extremely good, but this is going to be a reoccurring trend in this video, I can tell you already. The legendaries that were really good and didn't need to rely on Dynamax, such as Groudon, such as Kyogre, such as Calyrex Shadow, they are all going to be very, very good. Calyrex Shadow is no different. I think this Pokemon is going to be absolutely insane with massive expanding force and astral barrages defended by things like Indeedee female, follow me, normal typing to suck in the ghost move. Yeah, just follow me normal type and insane spread damage. Keep in mind, chat, that wide guard is actually way more viable now. We're going to get into that later in the video, and it can actually shut down Astral Barrage, Expanding Force, Calyrex quite well. But this is going to be an absolute insane powerhouse. 150 base speed is insane. Calyrex is going to be very popular with things like Indeedee female. Next up, no big shocker, guys. Torn Ogre, Tornadus, Kyogre, even things like Whimsicott, Kyogre, any Tailwinder and Kyogre. Kyogre, the reason why I loved Kyogre so much is because it never needed to max. I talked about that a lot in my Kyogre team guide that I got to rank 2 on the ladder with on the last day of the month, stuff like that. Kyogre, very good. Tailwind, Water Spout, Thunder that can't miss in the rain, Origin Pulse, insanely strong spread water move. This is basic stuff. Kyogre plus Tailwind is brain dead and really good. They're probably going to slap a Serena on there to make you immune to Fake Out, and then they're going to go to town. So guys, Kyogre, very good. Who would have guessed that Zacian made this list? Crazy, I know. But I'm talking about common cores that you're going to see. So I'm trying to give you an example of what I think will be on here. I think we're going to see things with Zacian and a Defiant user, whether that is Milotic, whether that is Zapdos Galar that I talked about in my previous video. All these good Defiant competitive mons are going to go great with Zacian, because how do you stop Zacian? You intimidate him a bunch of times. It's a really good way to answer him, and especially Fake Out, when there's so many Intimidate Fake Outers. Hitmontop, Scrafty, Incineroar is obviously the biggest one. So, yeah, Defiant user plus Zacian, and some other cores that I'm actually going to talk about in the future. I think we'll have a Zacian slapped onto this. Let's get into that one right now, actually. Like I was just talking about with Zacian, let's move into this one. It is going to be Urshifu and Gothitelle. Like in my last video, these are just two Pokemon that are going to be insanely good. They synergize together with Fake Out Trap and do an insane amount of damage, crit, just one-shot stuff. So they are going to be great. And then Zacian goes great with that. You know, you want to intimidate the Zacian. You want to intimidate the Urshifu, you know, for its non-critting moves. And then you've got Gothitelle to trap, Fake Out, all this kind of stuff. So another core you're going to be seeing is Gothitelle and Urshifu on the same team because they're really good and they synergize together very well. Once again, guys, getting pretty obvious here, but I want to prepare you for cores that you're going to see. And I think you're going to see very strong Fire, Water, Grass cores on a ton of teams. Tapu Fini, Incineroar, and Rillaboom. Maybe the Tapu Fini is something like Milotic or Urshifu Water. Maybe the Incineroar is something like Rotom Heat or something like that. Maybe the Rillaboom is Kartana, right? These strong Fire, Water, Grass cores with double Fake Out from Rillaboom and Incineroar, Misty Surge to stop Sleep, Spore, etc. Fini is great into Urshifu. That's kind of just how metas work. This is nothing very, hot takey, but you're going to see these cores. Be prepared. Just how I talked about Snorlax in the last video, those Pokemon that rely on setting up, now that Dynamax is gone, they can more safely do so, and Xerneas is one of those Pokemon. To be honest, I think Xerneas is not going to be as good as it was in the past just because of crazy steel Pokemon like Zacian's going to obliterate it. I even think Calyrex, Shadow is going to destroy it with an expanding force. So I think Xerneas is going to be a lot better. I don't know if it's going to dominate as hard as it always has been, but Xerneas plus things with Follow Me. Xerneas Amoonguss has always been amazing because you can Spore, protect Xerneas Spore. Rage Powder, Geomancy, all this kind of stuff. Really basic stuff, but set up heavy things with Xerneas. And then chat's been talking about Volcarona, and I agree. Volcarona is really solid. Rage Powder, 100 base speed, and then the cool thing about it is Flame Body. Like, you suck in the move from, like, Urshifus, they're going to potentially burn themselves on the Flame Body with the proc of Flame Body, which is 30%. Honestly, yeah, guys, be prepared for Xerneas with Follow Me attached to it. A strategy that the chat recommended is Solgaleo with Weakness Policy, Full Metal Body with those Pokemon that are still really good, such as Spectrier with Bulldoze I have right here, Entei, Raikou, these kinds of Pokemon with Inner Focus, Bulldoze, and a Weakness Policy Solgaleo. Because it really doesn't hurt the Solgaleo at all to get hit by that Bulldoze. Weakness Policy up, slow the enemy team down, and hit really hard. Solgaleo just goes really well against opposing Zacians. It does really well against Xerneas, just like we talked about. Xerneas does have those problems with steals. I can honestly see Solgaleo picking up a bit. I think that there might be better options. Calyrex Shadow and Kyogre, and Zacian are really tough Pokemon to beat, but Solgaleo could totally be viable. Calyrex Ice, guys, has always been really strong, flexible Trick Rumor, and just with the As1 ability being both Unnerved and the Chilling Neigh. This thing is crazy, dude. And Glacial Lance is an insanely good attack. Big, huge spread ice move that can't miss. That's crazy, man. Calyrex Ice is still going to be really good, and you're going to probably see it with common things that can set up Trick Room really annoyingly, like Mimikyu, maybe even Porygon 2, maybe more standard Trick Room, stuff like that. Mimikyu Calyrex was used for like the Flex, Shadow Sneak, into Weakness Policy. I don't really see Weakness Policy being viable or used, I guess, that much anymore. Calyrex Ice with Trick Room stuff is still going to be really, really scary and still super good. Last but not least, guys, I think Rain is honestly going to be pretty good. I kind of talked about Ludicolo in my past video. I think it's a pretty darn good Pokemon. Ludicolo can even go with Kyogre, guys. So this is a bit of a sleeper pick. I don't think Ludicolo is going to like bust open the meta or anything like that. I would expect you guys to see more Ludicolo than you have been seeing for the past 6 months of your life. I guarantee it. Alrighty, homies, for the next portion of the video, I want to talk about a bunch of attacks that are now pretty much back in viability and are totally usable moves that I think you're going to see more often. And the first one up is Roar and Whirlwind. What Roar and Whirlwind do is they force your opponent's Pokemon to switch out. And the thing is it didn't work on Dynamax. Roar just failed on Dynamax. Same with Whirlwind. But now it's back. But why would you want to force your opponent's Pokemon to switch out? We have seen Roar be very effective against Pokemon like Snorlax and Xerneas. Those Pokemon that boost up with their insane stat. They eat their berry. They eat the power herb. You force them to switch out with Roar. Or Pokemon that get a few Dragon Dances up, right? Let's say something like Gyarados. Something like, I don't know, I'm making stuff up right now, Salamence or something. You can roar out Pokemon that get these big attack boosts. So Roar is kind of back. If Xerneas and Snorlax and stuff like that end up being really, really strong, Roar is going to start picking up. But to be honest, I think Fake Out is so strong that it's going to mitigate these things a lot. So I don't think Roar is going to be too popular, but it is back and it is usable and it might just catch you off guard. Chat mentioned it to me. I forgot, which is embarrassing, but you can roar out Trick Room. Trick Room has a negative priority of -6. Roar can actually stop Trick Room setups, which is insanely good because of things like taunt into a mental herb or something like that. Roar doesn't get blocked by mental herb. Roar has a priority of a -6. Trick Room has a priority of a -7. So your Roar will always go before the opposing Trick Room and force them out, stopping them from getting up to Trick Room. So that's another way that Roar and Whirlwind can be used, and they are now a whole lot more viable. Next up are two moves, guys, that have faded into obscurity because of Dynamax: Super Fang and Nature's Madness. Pretty much any move that takes a set amount, even Seismic Toss, you could argue, right? Super Fang does 50% damage of their current HP to them. So if they're at full, 50%. If they're at 50%, 25%, okay? Super Fang is a really great, consistent, damaging move on support Pokemon such as Crobat, Togedemaru. These kinds of Pokemon can just take a huge chunk out of Pokemon just because of Super Fang. And that's not how it worked with Dynamax. It halved the damage that Super Fang did, so it kind of just became not very important at all. But Super Fang and Nature's Madness are back, and they are very good attacks. Just a short mention, Fake Out. It's already getting beaten. It's a beaten dead horse already, man, but Fake Out is insanely good. No Dynamax can stop it. You want to stop things like Snorlax, Zacian, the legendaries, Kyogre, etc. Fake Out is amazing. Can't stress it enough. Now we're getting into the weight-based moves. For some reason, these weight-based moves just failed when used into a Dynamax Pokemon. Things like Low Kick, things like right here, Heavy Slam, even other more obscure moves that have been actually distributed to more Pokemon because of the move tutor kind of system. Heat Crash, that's a fire one. I know like Copperajah gets that, right? So all these moves were practically unviable just because if your Pokemon Dynamax, it was like you're using Splash. These moves are back. They can hit every Pokemon in the game. The legendaries are all pretty darn heavy. Grass Knot is another one, another big one too. And yeah, the weight moves are back. So guys, you can actually use these moves here in Series 10 and you are not trolling pretty much. So weight-based moves are back. Thank you to Swift in the chat for mentioning Encore. This is another great one. Encore locks the user into its last used move. I think a lot of us do know what Encore does. Things that would protect, right? And then you would Encore them, like that was never a threat because they can protect and then just Dynamax. Or you Encore them into a move, they just Dynamax and bust out of it pretty much, right? That's big because we kind of see Encore as an annoying thing to stop support Pokemon. Maybe force a Pokemon to use Trick Room again. Maybe force a Pokemon into Fake Out. And that's all fine and dandy, but offensive Pokemon commonly need to protect themselves from getting killed, and then you could Encore them into protect, right? So that Dynamax Encore dichotomy is gone. Encore is back to being a really good and strong move to punish, protects, and stuff like that. So Encore is also viable now. Last but finally not least, guys, is Wide Guard. This is going to be such a huge move coming into this new format. Wide Guard, if you don't know, blocks your entire side of the field, both the user and its partner, from spread moves. Dazzling Gleam, Water Spout, Expanding Force, Astral Barrage completely negates it completely. Now, why didn't we see that during Dynamax? Well, it was because you would like predict the Kyogre to Water Spout. You click Wide Guard, but then they just max and like max Geyser kill something. And it's like one of your Pokemon effectively used Splash for the turn. So it was just, Wide Guard wasn't worth running because Dynamax was always single target. You didn't have these huge attacks to Wide Guard because the huge attacks from your opponent were just max moves. But Wide Guard is back. Water Spout, Precipice Blades, Expanding Forest, even in its legendary format. Look at all those moves that you can Wide Guard. But then when the legendaries are gone, Earthquake is a huge one. Rock Slide, another massive one too. Wide Guard is going to be a very, very, very big move in this game. And I think I'll even highlight a few really good Wide Guarders. Here, I'll scroll down right now. Conkeldurr, I know, is one that gets Wide Guard that people don't really see coming. Hitmontop, very, very good. Araquanid, I could even see. Stakataka is a huge one. Wide Guarding, Precipice Blades, and Water Spout that it is weak to. Very big. That's something Stakataka is very good at. Gigalith, I can see that. Conkeldurr, Aegislash. I even said I think Aegislash is going to pick up a little bit. And it gets Wide Guard. And then Stony J, I'm sure, yep, I looked at the chat and there's Len in there talking about Stony J already. Yep, there you go. But yeah, Genuinely, I think Wide Guard is going to be very, very good and totally viable. But alrighty guys, that's going to wrap it up for this Series 10 little coverage video. We talked about some common cores that I think are going to be very, very good in the early days of the format. And we talked about some moves. I think that's the most important part of the video, is all these moves that weren't viable because the Dynamax are back and can fit on teams and are going to shake up the metagame as we know it. So guys, once again, thank you guys very, very much for watching my channel. Thanks to all the homies here on Twitch. I stream 5 days a week. Come check us out. I'm not going to shill it all day, every day, but I would appreciate it, guys. Drop a sub if you're not already subbed, baby. Comment on the vid. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Peace, everybody.